The morning went by quickly with a steady stream of customers. Paul had put Jack a little bit more at ease, and he was able to focus on the task at hand. After the rush, Sujin called Jack over and handed him another mountainous plate of food for his breakfast. This time, Jack wasn't deceived by its looks, and even smiled a bit at the promise of its deliciousness. As Jack walked to an empty chair, Paul waved him down, standing in front of a booth of locals that Jack had recognized from the day before. "Come here," said Paul. "I want you to meet some of my devout regulars." Jack was introduced to a woman named Jimmy, a thin, gawky tractor mechanic in her early 30s. Ronald, a heavy, curly-haired farmhand dressed in denim overalls. And Smitty, a retired rancher with a long and bushy gray beard with little hair up top. They were a lively bunch and immediately invited Jack to sit with them. Jack was a little bit worried that everyone in Channing Falls was a religious nut for his new parole officer, said Paul. "Met the blessed, did you?" asked Jimmy. "Yeah," said Jack. "You pay them no mind," said Jimmy. "Not a sticker in the whole bunch." "You see?" said Paul. "A sticker," chuckled Ronald. It just seemed kind of creepy.
Yeah, they do that, but they don't mean no harm.
They just get carried away is all.
I'll say.
So this one, or whatever they call him, he doesn't actually walk on water.
That's a good one.
You'll fit right in here.
He's just a man, like everyone.
Like everyone.
Did you meet him yet?
I guess he left early on Friday, so tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll get along fine.
I just thought it was kind of strange, that's all.
Well, don't think too hard.
Yeah, Ronald's got a lot of experience with that.
Hey.
Breakfast was again delicious. Jack thanked Sujin and said that he wished that all things that looked that bad tasted so good. Jack immediately realized what he said sounded so backhanded, but the look on his face from this realization made Sujin erupt with laughter. It's okay, said Sujin, and then pointed to his left arm. Hayoka. Like Hayoka, I play trick on you. Tasty trick, said Jack, and Sujin laughed some more. The afternoon came quick and Jack was done with his shift. Again, he didn't feel like going straight home, so he decided to take a walk around town. It had been a good day at work. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, but now that he was done, things seemed strange again. Jack couldn't quite place it, but something was off kilter. He likened it to an experience he had as a child. One afternoon, he was playing in a small park a half a block from his house, kicking a red ball against a wall. It had been a hot day and he could see dark clouds on the horizon when he looked straight down 2nd Avenue. Everything got very still. The sky had an orange tint to it, as if everything was colored differently. He noticed no birds were chirping, and it was abnormally silent. He heard the noise of the ice cream truck, but the notes were stifled, like they had trouble traveling through the thick orange air. He ran to the truck and bought a cone with change he had collected off the ground over the past week. The ice cream man told him that he better get inside because the weather was coming. As he said it, an alarm sounded over the man's radio from the emergency broadcast system. Jack remembered the sound of the alarm mixing with the music from the truck. There were horrible storms all that night, but Jack remembered how good the ice cream tasted on the walk home. Just as he was thinking of ice cream, he was brought back to the present, realizing that he was looking up at a sign that said, ice cream. Impulsively, he walked in and ordered a cone. Jack paid for his cone while he tried to remember the name of the park. It started with an A, he thought. Wasn't it named after a president or something? Yes, definitely an A. It was... And right as he thought the word, he heard it aloud. Adams. He turned to see a couple talking. And the red crib was Adams too, said the wife. The green was for Jeremy, remember? Oh, said the man, that's right. It's strange how the brain picks up on these things, thought Jack, how it makes connections. As he strolled around, he thought how sometimes the mind puts things together, but sometimes it's just a coincidence, like when you have a song in your head and then you turn on the radio and that song is playing. He remembered when that had happened with his first girlfriend in high school. They were sitting in her car and he was just humming Foxy Lady when he turned on the radio and Jack stopped in his tracks. He had just been walking by a bookstore when he heard the very same song come out of the front door. He took a few uneasy steps forward, thinking that this was too weird. And as he did, his vision was set directly on an old vintage comic sitting in the display case. A comic entitled, Weird, Crazy, But True. The picture was a Hitchcockian portrait of a man in a blue suit, looking like a puppet scarecrow with strings coming up from his head and limbs, up to a cross held by a devious, shadowy figure. Jack suspiciously looked around, as if he expected to find someone watching him, or strings leading up to a man in the sky. Then he sniffed his ice cream cone for any foreign substances, such as a hallucinogenic drug, and then he threw the cone in the nearest trash can. Jack picked up his pace, walking towards his apartment, thinking to himself, if I've been drugged, and at that moment caught himself looking at a sign above a pharmacist. Am I adding meaning to this? Maybe, thought Jack, Maybe I'm just going insane, said a voice. Jack turned around to see two locals he just passed, standing by a mailbox. Jack took 2 big strides towards one of them, grabbed him by the collar, and shouted, "What did you say?" The man panicked. I said the new stamp price hike is insane. Jack stared at the man's eyes, who looked genuinely afraid. Then Jack looked past him about a half a block away to see a sheriff peering over their direction to see if something was up. "Oh," said Jack, letting go of the man. "Sorry," and turned and walked steadily towards his apartment.